War. War never changes. Unless you're the Enclave. In a world riddled by war, famine, and radical factions, the Enclave is on top of the world. Yeah, maybe not. The Enclave has been whittled down to nothing after the Enclave's main base on the oil rig was blown up, and subsequent defeats on every single front, with scattered Enclave remnants across the United States having either gone into hiding or integrated into whatever tribe or country they found themselves in. Only small, actually organized factions are still standing, and that is where we find ourselves, as we are one of those small remnants that are still left. But technically the country the Enclave doesn't actually exist yet. Let me explain. Sergeant Dornan, yeah, this guy who yelled at you in Fallout 2, is working as a security guard in Vault City alongside a large amount of Enclave civilians who have gone into hiding there. All Enclave people are persecuted against by decree in the NCR, and every single place they have some kind of reach, which means if they find any Enclave person, they will kill you. Dornan gets found out and through his literal Giga Chat moves, I mean look at that picture, kills his executioners, which is when he launches his emergency plan and runs away with every Enclave person he knows to the Sierra Army Depot and forms the Enclave country, nuzzled right up against the country that hates us the most. Yup, we are so cooked. We start off with massive debuffs, as no one can decide who is in charge, as Dornan is a military man and couldn't care less, as well as a ton of other problems. We start gathering every single person we can who still believe in the Enclave ideals, as we gather a small army of power armored individuals in the sexy X1 power armor suits. Nice. With Enclave people coming from afar, a big problem starts erupting, keeping the NCR from finding us, because if they do, we're dead, giving us decisions to make sure they don't find us, by using political power or just bribing the officials. I mean, it is America after all. It's not called corruption, it's called lobbying. With the Enclave somewhat established, we begin setting up radios to contact other remnants. Days later, a squad of vertebrates land with Franklin Anderson, a hardline purist who still holds old school Enclave values, as well as a mercenary company who is led by Douglas Granite, who leads the most respected mercenary company in all of Enclave history. You would probably think this is all great, so many people gathering to restore the Enclave. You would be wrong, as two factions emerge. Anderson's faction, who still wants to restore the original ways of the Enclave, meaning killing everyone that aren't 100% pure and uncorrupted by radiation, meaning about 99.99999% of America. And Granite's faction, who disagrees with the Enclave's ideology and means to reform the Enclave into the true American ideals. This all comes to a head when the entire Enclave that we had just gathered is about to split up due to factionalism, so they decide to hold a presidential vote to see who actually gets to lead. And there is nothing more fair than democracy. As the votes start coming in, Dornan is the last one who hasn't voted yet, and his vote will impact on who becomes the actual president. As he casts his vote and the votes are tallied, Granite comes out on top with one vote. The purist, really sorry about losing, starts spreading rumors about Granite's mother not being actually pure, and the fact that Granite himself doesn't even know who she is. However, his dad, who led the Granite mercenary company before him, never told him either. These rumors are in fact actually true, but your mom jokes, I guess, are still very trendy in the Enclave. But to throw off these 100% not true rumors, Granite instituted a new wave of hatred. Against who, you ask? Towards communists, of course, a true and tested strategy in America. With reforms on the way, we're starting to gather much support. However, due to us now being president and trying to remake America, we are now introduced to a new mechanic, legitimacy. If we have 0, we get absolutely cock-stomped if we have too many non-Enclave citizens. If we have 100 legitimacy, we can conquer as much land as we want without any penalties, which essentially means that we need the people of the wasteland to like us more than the people who are trying to sell them into slavery. As things were finally settling down, a group of traitors decide to leave with stolen Enclave secrets. These secrets are very important to us, but we actually don't know who stole them, besides the fact that they were Enclave. But in all honesty, that doesn't really matter, as we used it as an excuse to crack down on Anderson's faction, which means that we're slowly eroding all their power. With stolen secrets and a traitor's faction, we begin to ready our forces, as Sergeant Dornan starts getting the literal child soldiers of our army ready for war. The purist officers that now hate Granite a lot start countering all his orders, as we get a massive debuff to our military, as well as scientists who also start causing problems and fucking up our research, like we weren't already having massive issues.
Hey, look, I didn't know you were allowed to keep monkeys at home.
Red, I think that's a man.
Oh, sorry, mister.
One thing we did need was more land, as the men were preparing to fight against New Reno, the largest city on the west coast, which is ruled by cartels and gangs. My army being made up of mostly power armor, smash into the New Reno forces, of which are completely and utterly destroyed by our superior forces. With New Reno taken, Bishop, their leader, now needs to be taken care of. Before he gets shot in the streets, Granite notices that Bishop looks a lot like himself, and everybody else can see it as well. With a DNA test, it turns out that Bishop is Granite's half-brother. This is both good and also bad, as it means that we now have a man who knows knows a lot about New Reno that has a family connection to Granite, which means he might help us. But it's also pretty freaking bad, as it means that all the purist rumors were true, and Granite's mother was actually a hoe. God damn. Fucking purist, man.
May the defendant state his name for the official record?
My name is Aaron. Aaron Yeager.
Yeager?
Yeager?
It can't be.
Is there a problem?
Could he be related to Carla Yeager? The Carla Yeager?
That's my mom. How do you know her name?
Kid, there isn't a man above the age of 30 that doesn't know that name.
What?
Kid, your mom was like the Cleopatra of cock wrangling back in the day.
No!
That woman redefined what it means to be a whore.
This is not happening. This is not happening!
Wait 1 motherfucking second! That boy Carla Yeager's baby? Oh my god, that was the finest hoe this empire ever seen! We all wanted to get a piece of that Carla. She could suck a dick like it was scripture!
It was beautiful.
Bishop, learning this, joins up with Granite and becomes his next in command. Due to Granite being, well, very politically inept, but Bishop being very good at politics, they come up with a plan to disguise the Enclave as New Reno, which changes our name to further hide ourselves from the NCR. And with the New Reno in our hands, we now have two choices: rule under martial law, or rule New Reno as a part of the expanding United States. As soft rule will make them like us more, and integrate them as citizens. We need their factories and citizens, so soft rule it is. The problem now is that we have a country, and that country needs money. And in terms of money, we have no money, as we need to start taxing our population. As instead of finding someone to actually make sure that people are taxed fairly, we just send out people with guns and demand money from whatever citizens they can find. And if they don't pay, we just beat them up until they do. Ah, America, truly the land of the free. We then come to the slavery debate, as slavery is widespread in the wasteland. However, we can't exactly tax property, so we outlawed it and demanded money from all the former slaves. There's only one thing certain in life: taxes and death. Granite also starts gathering a cabinet, as one man can't rule alone, my son. As we gather an attorney general, Felix Grayson, as well as a new head of the IRS, Aria, as she is really good with money, and people are really not happy about being beaten up and having their money stolen, and being told that it's taxes. With the issue of money and fair laws being now delegated, we could begin to expand the Enclave's influence. The Vipers, who were a raiding gang that needed to be destroyed, as well as the Jackals, who brought nothing positive to the wasteland. So Granite sent the declaration, pushing through the lands, easily occupying their territory. The Jackals didn't fare much better, as they also felt the boot of the Enclave's superiority, grabbing both nations' leaders and throwing them in jail, putting an end to their marauding and drug dealing. The NCR probably wondered why New Reno was suddenly becoming so powerful all of a sudden, then promptly went back to sniffing glue in the corner. MODOK then became the next Enclave target, threatening our base of power in the Zero Armor Depot, as they were also allied to the nation of the Slags, who was also swiftly removed off the map, as my map painting was more important than theirs, and the Enclave needed to expand.
Your son, he's just unbelievable. Come see what he did.
I told you it's not ready yet.
Honey, just show it to them.
God, son, that's wonderful.
I'm glad you like it.
I do. Thank you, Dad.
That shit is bananas.
A thing of note to the trained eye, I hadn't exactly, how do I say this, put any garrison orders on any of the occupied territory I was holding, meaning I was attritioning in my own lands, making much of what I produced just go straight into the toilet. And don't you worry, I didn't notice this for a long while, wondering why I'm losing so much equipment. I was losing it to stupidity. I then got a notice from Vault City, as they demanded territory from me. Considering I was very powerful, I didn't think much of this, and kinda thought it was a joke. I then began my war against the Yakuza. Evidently, Vault City wasn't joking, invading me from the north, as I didn't have a single division there. They pushed further into my territory, putting my worst divisions toward Vault City, while my best divisions, my power armor divisions, kept going towards the Japanese menace, as it became a war of who could kill who first. While the entire Enclave was about to collapse, the president decided to begin a baseball league. I don't fucking know. Read the room, dumbass, as Vault City divisions slowly marched towards the Zero Army Depot. The Yakuza, however, was not very strong, using katanas like the weeps they were against my top-of-the-line power armor divisions. Never stood a chance, as they fell, rushing all my good divisions north, stabilizing the front. The Yakuza apparently having been slaughtered so much that they decided to now love America, giving me 3 divisions, making them go from weeaboos to Ameriboos, giving us extra troops in these hard times. We then slowly gained the advantage, marching towards Vault City's capital, taking it and them ceasing to exist, giving us tons of resources. But due to the aforementioned rebellious provinces of which I had no garrisons and 2 wars, my stockpile of weaponry and armor had been completely and utterly depleted, meaning we would have to regain our stockpile. Problems then arose from inside, as data from the oil rig was found, as data had been transferred after the rig exploded. This data described all the horrible experiments that had been made in the vaults and the Enclave's involvements in these experiments, as well as a project to wipe out everyone who is mutated in Wasteland, meaning killing every mutant, irradiated, or anyone who wasn't 100% pure. Granite and the upper echelon pondering, well, what to do with this information. The upper echelon decides to keep it under wraps, as it would destroy the entire Enclave that we've just built, as most of our citizens are, well, irradiated, and some of them are probably also mutated. Then in their genius moves, decide to just blame it on Vault Tech and try to move on. With politics finally stabilizing, reformers had finally gained enough power, ousting purist officers and scientists, deciding that Anderson would never see reason, authorizing a hit squad to finally kill him. Anderson was last spotted at his work terminal, but when the hit squad arrived, he was gone. Probably left a your mom joke on the terminal as well.
Okay, who's the hottest person you can think of?
Your mother.
As he and his most loyal followers had fled without trace, hopefully to never be seen again. As we then get news about defectors landing in Kaiser's Legion, having stolen weapons and armor, plus the last of our forced evolutionary virus, which definitely can't be good. But at least now we have a United States. As the nation stabilizes, we can begin actually reforming the Enclave a little bit. And this reform is about who's actually gonna be a citizen in our country, as the Wasteland has a lot of different types of people, as well as mutants. Normal humans, ghouls, super mutants, a lot of different types of mutants, as well as robots. And they are all something that Granite needs to consider. Granite decides that humans have the same right to all be free, as it is the humans' God-given right to open a McDonald's in every single liberated nation. And if they don't want to open one, we can just take their oil. This is also where I find out that, well, my territories have been horribly mishandled, as almost every single state has 100% resistance, and making me feel like an idiot, putting some men on the ground to actually handling the growing resistance, as well as a decision that the Enclave has to install police officers in non-court states, over 2,000 hours, and I still make dumb mistakes like this. Then learning of the defectors setting up a scientific core in the Legion and removing the tumor from Kaiser's head, meaning Kaiser is going nowhere, as was the Legion now being more advanced in tech. I guess it's good there's still a massive NCR between me and them for now. The purest faction chilling in the Legion, we're gonna do something that pisses them off, as we begin giving rights to other humanoid mutants. First, the ghouls, who honestly, while they can still turn and become monsters, are a lot like everyone else, so they get rights. When Granite decides to give super mutants rights, people were, well, up in arms, but considering having juiced up muscle-bound warriors in the army was worth the risk, so they would also receive rights. Another win for the OG. With massive amounts of manpower now flowing into our manpower pool, we can finally begin to expand, as the Den had been looking a little bit too un-American, as I swooped in and took their oil, then invading the Guardian Brotherhood as I needed their power armor stockpiles, as well as their production facilities to create even more X1 power armor to supplement my dwindling stockpile. The Guardian Brotherhood did fight back quite well, as they had power armor, but 4 power armor divisions can't exactly beat my 10, as they were crushed. Then I went on to destroy the Elko pose. Tic-tac, boom. But these people were a bit different, because as soon as my power armor divisions met them on the battlefield, they started praying to us like we were gods. Angry gods. Then telling them to kill their leader, as they ripped him apart. Me thinking the war was going great, TV station, a place where an AI had recreated the 50s America, and launched an attack from within our own soil, going down there and beating those clankers and ripping those wire backs apart. As everything was going well, the NCR had gotten a new president, Allgood Murphy, who wanted to expand their reach, and that reach was into me, as they wanted to send rangers to New Reno. This would be very bad, as New Reno was now a city of lights, not a city of gangsters and mobsters anymore. So through bribes, infiltrations, and a little good old iron fisting, when the troops came, they were invited in, and suddenly shot in the back by their own comrades, as over half of the rangers were Enclave sympathizers, who wanted to join the Enclave, a plan well thought out. They even gave me free men and guaranteed my independence. Another slap in the face to the NCR. Probably not the best time to give away divisions, as the Legion invaded the NCR. The NCR would probably not fare so well, as the Legion possessed stronger divisions due to the Enclave traitors, now known as the Palatine. The Palatine having juiced up the Legion with high-tech airplanes and weapons, meaning the tech that I had would not give me any advantage against them. Crunk, hit the panic lever. As the entire High Command was panicking about the NCR being attacked by the Legion, good news came through with another humanoid race being added to our collection of citizens, the Slanter, who were raccoon-like people. I guess if we have super mutants, we can have a raccoon race join us, I guess, annexing the whole territory without a fight, empowering us even further in the wars to come. While people were celebrating this news, we were again being invaded by the Thunderbirds, like they didn't learn the lesson when Vault City invaded me, so I broke their legs and called an ambulance. They instantly gave up when they got the news of the hospital bill. Do you guys get the joke because Americans pay a ridiculous amount in hospital bills? Ha ha ha, laughs in Danish. Yup, another Danish classic.
Please, hurry. It's an emergency. Can I afford an ambulance? Let me check. Have you heard of Uber?
Now in this mod we also do run into a lot of stuff from the Fallout games and lore, like the big MT, vaults and other wacky stuff, meaning every single time we conquer something, we also gain small attack bonuses as well as small buffs to whatever we stumble upon from the games, as well as company headquarters from the big companies from the lore. Now these things are just something that I'm gonna have in the background, but just know that I'm getting more juiced up than an Instagram influencer who uses steroids but pretends to be full natty. We then begin the great recruitment as Sergeant Dornan starts training the new troops for the coming war, pumping out as many troops as our industry can handle, as the Legion is coming for us, as they won't just stop at the NCR, no, with the Palatine probably planning revenge on me, as every single time I get news from the Legion, it's never good, as the recent news from the Legion told me about massive death elephants they have created using the FEV named Hannibal, meaning they have become stronger than ever before. The Legion's massive war against the NCR was slowly turning into the Legion's favor, as the NCR was losing on almost every single front, as the Legion did have the largest army on the continent, as it was becoming inevitable that the Legion would win against the NCR. We had to mobilize all our forces and yeah, no. For some reason, I can just stop the war, as they have implemented a decision that I can just stop the war by sabotaging the Legion supply lines, and both of them just go, oh well, I guess the war's over now. I have a lot of praise for the sub mod, but honestly, this shit is so fucking stupid. Just make them attrition like hell for 3 months or something, but I guess I do have to go full RP. Our Enclave moved spies all across the entire NCR and Legion, moving throughout the night, and killed the one guy responsible for all the Legions and NCR's logistics, and Kaiser got super mad and decided that he didn't want to kill the NCR anymore, signing a white peace over the 100,000 dead bodies that died in the war. Maybe Fallout was just the friends we made along the way. With the massive NCR Legion war over, I then started lining all my troops up on the NCR border, knowing that the world order would have to be changed, as America needed our old lands back, rich and fertile lands, who still needed the true government to save them. Maybe they don't know it yet, but I will make it happen by force, as for years they've been talking with New Reno, but in a flash they'll be talking with the Enclave, the true American government.
Okay, do me a favor, courier. I can't get out of this thing, so I need you to go get me the platinum chip. I don't really know what it does, but I just know that you need to go get it. And then hopefully we can go to Hoover Dam together. I'll take you and get you a hot dog.
Gotta let your hair down and smell the hot dogs.
Then setting up sleeper cells in their lands, manufacturing made-up declarations of war, as well as known faces from the games start showing up in our country, ready to lead our men to victory. Launching our attack on the NCR caught them completely off guard, losing thousands in the first day, as their old ally She defected to us and stabbed them in the back, reclaiming our old name as the Enclave, pushing them out of Northern California. The NCR's war against the Legion had completely and utterly crippled them, slowly moving in on the capital Shady Sands, and taking it with thousands of NCR troops getting encircled, then pushing further into the south, as the NCR had now lost 41,000 men to my 8k. They finally capitulated to the true America. As Granite was celebrating his win with his cabinet, news from the north arrives, as the Washington Brotherhood was preparing to declare war on me, immediately scrambling every man at my disposal north, as we then get absolutely cock-stomped by a debuff from taking over the NCR territory, destroying our legitimacy, stability, war support, as well as a myriad of different problems, like the NCR loyalists gathering to kill me. All of this is now something that we need to fix, while we're on the brink of another war. Fuck. With the immense amount of new citizens in our country, we now need to fix the fractured unity of our states. We then decided to give people free speech to help them feel safe. Does it make them feel safe? No. Just because you can voice your opinion does not remove the pirates that are now raiding your village. As even more bad news arrives, as the Legion is gathering a coalition force against me, meaning we are now on the brink of war from the north, the south, and the east. We have, however, gained the USA flag instead of the Enclave logo, so maybe that will improve morale a bit. My one saving grace was that the Legion was scared of me and my efficient capitulation of the NCR, which gave me a 2 years truce with them, which meant I would have 2 years to rebuild the fractured American state. So while I was healing, the Legion continued to expand in allies and land. As the NCR loyalists were beginning to kill my generals, which wasn't good, of which I did not see coming. So dealing with the loyalists would be a top priority, but dealing with the NCR loyalists doesn't mean that you can't go, well, to war. So I started killing off smaller tribes bordering my lands. This also meant that no other faction against me would get these lands and the power from them. With the United States healing and armies growing, the government was in its last phase of reconstruction, but with great news comes sad news as well, as Sergeant Dornan, the guy who began the Enclave country and trained every single new recruit from the child soldiers of the beginning to to the horde of new recruits, we found that the local McDonald's decided to retire at the ripe old age of 80. I see people die at the ripe old age of 70, and this dude made it to 80? God damn! With sad news came great news, as we were officially now called the United States of America, the land of the free, where the red, white and blue flag would fly for another 1,000 years. A few things did bother Granite and his cabinet. The fact the Enclave that people think of now was built on a cover-up, that the Enclave now came and saved people, gave them laws, healthcare for a financially crippling amount, security, and most of all, a sense of pride in the nation, was all a lie. The people of our nation had no idea that the Enclave originally wanted to wipe them all out, and these people are now what makes the nation what it is now, and the Enclave wanted to rid the world of them. Granite had two choices: put all the past of the Enclave behind him again, and hope no one finds out or spills the beans. He decided to be truthful and told his people the truth, hoping that they would understand. Everybody were pissed and rioted. Congress demanded a non-biased investigation into the matter to show the full extent of what the Enclave had done, with a man from the followers proceeding over it. We had every option, every opportunity to stop them and coerce them into removing details to make the old Enclave look better, or just simply destroy the caravan. But Granite wouldn't do none of it, letting the caravans arrive safely. As the followers came and showed their findings, they found a horrible old world government faction that killed millions and would kill billions to achieve their goal. But that was not the Enclave of today. This one had faults, but was nothing like the old one, with representatives from the now accepted humanoids giving their speeches as well, like the super mutants, who were, while tolerated in the NCR, were never accepted, but under the new United States had every right that a human had. The Slanter, who were nothing like humans and close to raccoons, spoke up that they didn't care what the old Enclave did, and were respected and accepted in this new nation more than ever, and thus forgave the old deeds, as well as the ghouls. While the humans rioted about the news, the ghouls knew there was no other nation more accepting than the new United States, and thus allowed the sins of the past and looked forward to a new future alongside humans, absolving us of our past, not forgetting but moving into the future as a stronger nation. It did, however, completely fuck my legitimacy. But the roleplay though, come on! As the nation had finally come back online, we could begin dealing with our enemies, as the Legion was apparently respecting the truce. Honestly, didn't expect that. I would focus on the second biggest threat to democracy, the Washington Brotherhood, who already was preparing to declare war on me, but just decided to, I guess, sleep. A delusional group of old school Brotherhood fanaticism, which would have to be removed off American soil. Preparing my armies as I began Operation Leviathan to remove the Brotherhood and pirate threat, which they had allied themselves with. Before we began Operation Leviathan, I had a couple countries I wanted to wipe off the map, Woosland and Klamath, to ensure I could stretch out the front even more, as that would be to my advantage. While I was conquering these minor nations, we stumbled upon the chosen one, of which we learn is Granite's mom. Kinda awkward. She probably has a lot of alimony payments to pay back to Granite's dad. Wait, he's fucking dead. Oh, fuck it, keep it in the video. The video's long enough. Then launching the biggest invasion on Canadian soil. The monstrous power armor divisions were so powerful that I could barely even push them. Good thing about strong divisions, you can't have a lot of them. So where they weren't, they were collapsing, leading to the encirclement of most of the heavy infantry, leading to the Chemold Station encirclement. Most of the army had now been completely evaporated, in encirclements after encirclements, leading to a complete victory as the Washington Brotherhood had problems holding their front. Their puppet Port Moore was the first to go, leading to the pirate nation disappearing, finally freeing our coasts from the pirate menace. Now it's really just Krakens that kill my boats, but maybe that's an improvement.
We tired of playing with your ass, nigga. Today your ass is gonna die, bitch. Say goodnight, motherfucker.
Then moving in on their capital, funny enough called Capitol Hill, it was evidently over for the Brotherhood. They were the last of the Brotherhood factions left, as every other one had been conquered, but was the most fanatical of them all. Then moving on to their ally Broken Coast, who had already lost most of their men in the south, but with the truce with the Legion ending soon, I had to send more and more troops to the south, awaiting the Legion's attack, as they had also begun vassalizing nations on my border, like the 80s, Heaven's Gate and other countries, which were all primed to attack me. It was a token force who finally took down the Broken Coast, but that was all that was needed, as this notification popped up: the Legion marches, as we were the only foe they had left to kill, the battle that would determine whose ideals were best: a dictatorship under Kaiser, with the purists leading a crusade against mutants, or a democracy hell-bent on restoring democratic values and freedom for its people. Mr. House, before he was crushed by the Legion, would say,
"If you want to see the fate of democracies, look out the windows.
What people saw was the land of the free, a land of opportunity with about 4 fast food restaurants within 1 kilometer of every citizen at all times. That fat epidemic, even in the apocalypse, was unstoppable. The Legion finally declared the war, launching a suicidal attack on the entire front. The center was not doing so hot, as we got pushed back, but with only limited reinforcements to spare, small gaps also opened up in the south, where I didn't expect much resistance, also started falling back, leading to divisions having to be shuffled around to stop the fronts from collapsing. The Legion's initial attack had lost them over 29,000 men, but with a division count double mine, it wouldn't even leave a dent. To stop the Legion from bumfucking me in the south and overwhelming me with pure numbers, I noticed that Heaven's Gate was the weakest of the puppets, using it to my advantage and pushing an entire full power armor division into the north, easily encircling fleeing Legion soldiers, then systematically pushing them over rivers to take them by surprise, then hammering into my center to retake the territory they had taken, then capitulating Heaven's Gate and freeing up more than 3 full army divisions. Yo Tommy, how do you feel about my gameplay so far?
Sick this shit.
Hell yeah. Then moving on to the 80s, launching a massive full-scale invasion from the center and north, quickly capturing territory and pushing their divisions back, taking city after city. Them capitulating within 2 months of the attack was kind of embarrassing, but considering they were Legion lapdogs, it might just be because they saw the writing on the wall. Also considering the Legion had lost over 222,000 men and almost half the entire army, they might just want to switch sides. Granite smelling blood in the water started the invasion of the south. The Legion had at this point no manpower, their equipment stockpiles were empty, their divisions had simply run out of juice.
You fucking tell anyone about this?
I'm gonna deny it, bro.
What do you say we change the subject?
Cartoons for 500, Alex. It's the Daily Double. I'm gonna wager 1,000. This Flintstones lyric describes what you and the woman with a penis did last night. What is have a gay old time? That's right.
Crossing the rivers to attack core Legion territory, their attacks crippling the Legion and the last of their strength, as major cities fell, especially their capital, Flagstaff, where Kaiser had boarded himself in with his most loyal soldiers. But with complete air dominance, as a few bombs landed on his fortified base, it was finally taken, with the Enclave soldiers doing a little bit of propaganda. The massive war beasts we'd heard tales of, monster elephants called Hannibal that the Palatine had created, had apparently been fake. Somebody should probably be fired for not seeing through the propaganda, but at least the Legion didn't actually have a trump card left. The Palatine, seeing the fall of the Legion being inevitable, fled further south, evading capture. Bastards. Then launching the final offensive against the Legion. I'm really not one to make up content where there really is none, so what happened was they folded like a goddamn lawn chair and capitulated, removing the Enclave's strongest foe on the continent. Their ally, the Iron Kingdom, realizing they had probably chosen the wrong side in the war, would not be spared, as they were removed off the map until the end of times, as the entire Legion faction had officially, finally been destroyed, putting an end to 15 years of fighting for dominance, as we had come out on top. The NCR had fallen, and the Legion's destruction making us the true power in America. Every single division had one specific order: find the Palatine, and their base had finally been found, as we completely overran it, taking them back to the Zero Army Depot. The depot that had fled so long ago had been transformed into a thriving military base, more modern than even a base from before the war, under the watchful eye of the now retired Sergeant Dornan, as all the purists were dragged in front of a court, their crimes so long that it took days to list them all. They would then finally be able to defend themselves in court, but all they could say was sorry. They were sentenced to death, shot by the same soldiers who had to fight a war where American lives had to be lost due to the ideals of sharing Enclave technology, crimes against humanity, and crimes against America. With the trial finally over, all I had to do was unite what was left, taking over whatever lands were not in the fold, destroying ragtag bands of bandits, dictatorships, or whatever new ideologies had risen in the world, setting up a puppet state of Mexico to remove our direct involvement in non-American lands, then setting our eyes on the only rational Canadian faction left, New Victoria, which was the place the royal family had fled to after the bombs hit and ruled ever since, engaging in contact and agreeing over their ownership of the Canadian lands, of which we would conquer for Canada. But with 200 years still on their mind, like the United States conquering Canada and mistreating their citizens, we made agreements they would be a puppet but maintain full autonomy of their own affairs, only building a moderate amount of Burger Kings and McDonald's in their territory, as Queen Victoria was proclaimed Queen of the North. Also holding a 200-year grudge is fucking wild, with America soon being unified and states being proclaimed, we had heard news that China may still exist, setting off boats with Chinese ghouls. China in fact did exist, as Granite was greeted by the Ghoul Emperor, agreeing on a peace deal and signing the peace treaty, finishing a war that had been going on for over 200 years. Maybe war does change. The Unification War was finally finished. Canada and Mexico are puppets and also close allies. A peace treaty with China signed, Granite had united the United States of America, or at least the parts that were in the game. Granite would finally step down as president, having brought peace to America, and this peace would last until the foreseeable future, as no one dared challenge the country that had brought that peace. And Sergeant Dornan, you ask, opened a bar in New Vegas called Dornan's Bar. A couple things before we end. This mod was absolutely worth playing, be it as Granite or Anderson. There's so much left out due to time constraints and video flow. There's a lot of options in this mod to make it a lot harder, because honestly I steamrolled everything because I didn't choose all those options, making it a lot more fun gameplay wise. But if you want a story that Todd and his goons at Bethesda could never tell, then please play it. Also subscribe and join the Discord. Okay, bye, see ya.
I've only been asked this once. Who exactly was in Paris?